May the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. This has been a momentous week. Around the world, people have been watching and waiting, eyes fixed on a certain chimney above the Sistine Chapel, holding their breath for the moment when the white smoke would arise. And when it did, it signaled a new spiritual leader had been chosen after much prayer and discernment. From our place in the Episcopal Church, sisters and brothers in the Anglican tradition, we walk alongside our Roman Catholic siblings. We mark this moment with prayerful hope. A new pope is not our bishop, but a figure of enormous spiritual significance in the Christian world. His choices, the people he uplifts, and the tone that he sets can influence the Roman Catholic Church and the broader Christian witness across the globe. In this time, for the first time in history, the white smoke announced someone from the United States. Now, because I work in my day job in a Roman Catholic parish, the anticipation felt especially close to home. On the day the conclave concluded, our weekly staff meeting was delayed by 15 minutes because everyone had gathered around a computer screen in one of the offices watching the Vatican News live stream. There was a quiet hush when the smoke appeared, followed by a buzz of energy as we waited to learn who it would be. None of us checked the betting markets, I swear. These weren't just news watchers. They were people for whom this choice deeply matters. And it was moving to walk with them in this. The man chosen had been shaped by an immigrant experience. He's a White Sox fan. His mother, as it turned out, was a loyal Cubs supporter. Make of that what you will. He has lived and served among the poor in Chiclayo, Peru. And he is known not for grandeur or institutional ambition, but for a quiet presence and pastoral care. He has been close to the sick, the marginalized, and the overlooked. And that is the kind of spiritual leadership the world desperately needs. There is so much work to be done. The burdens are heavy. Economic injustice, the plight of refugees, rising hatred and division, environmental degradation, and the spiritual isolation that afflicts so many. The church, whether Episcopal, Catholic, Orthodox, or any body that calls Jesus Lord, is called to bear witness to a different way, the way of love, in the words of Bishop Curry, the way of healing, the way of hope. In today's gospel, we hear Jesus being pressed to explain himself. If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly, they demand. And Jesus replies, I have told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name testify to me. That line is striking. He doesn't launch into a theological argument. He doesn't meet accusation with accusation. He points to the witness of his life, his actions, his compassion, his healing. That is how he reveals who he is. That kind of quiet, steadfast witness reminds me not just of Jesus, but also of the one who raised him, his mother. It's fitting that all of this has unfolded just before Mother's Day, when many of us think about the kind of deep, faithful love that has shaped us in unseen ways. I can't help but think of my mom today, especially as I sit with these scriptures. She never asked to be recognized. She didn't need a title, but she shepherded our family in 100 invisible ways. She was a special education teacher who believed every child deserved to be seen and celebrated. She opened her home to those in need, supported her children through ups and downs, and was the first at the hospital when something was wrong. She cooks with love, gardens with joy, and lives with a kind of fierce independence that has shaped us all. She reminds me what it means to be real. In the words of her favorite book, The Velveteen Rabbit. In that story, the skin horse tells the rabbit, real isn't how you are made. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, then you become real. That kind of love isn't flashy. It doesn't always get noticed, but it changes lives. And that's the kind of love we see in today's readings from Acts. Tabitha, or Dorcas, was a disciple devoted to good works and acts of charity. When she dies, the community mourns deeply. The widows gather around, showing the garments, the signs of her care. Her love was sewn into the very fabric of her neighbors' lives. Peter prays, and she is restored to life. But even before that miracle, we already knew she was someone Christ's love had moved through. Psalm 23 also gives us a window into this kind of shepherding love. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. These are not abstract words. They're about real presence, about knowing you're not alone, and about love that shows up even in the shadow of death. And in the gospel, Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. No one will snatch them out of my hand." This is the voice of a shepherd who does not dominate, but leads through love. Who does not shout, but calls. Who does not force, but invites. It is in many ways the voice of a mom. And it's the voice we need to hear in our world right now. Not just from pulpits or thrones, but in everyday life. In classrooms and kitchens, in phone calls and hospital visits, and in the quiet leadership of people who give of themselves so others may live. When I look at the church today in all its forms, I see tremendous opportunity and responsibility for us to be that voice. As Episcopalians, we are not outside the global work of shepherding. We are called to it deeply. We are called to be leaders, not in domination, but in compassion, not in self-preservation, but in self-giving love. This week, the world chose a new spiritual shepherd in one branch of the church. While we may not share his governance, we can share his heart, especially if he continues to center people experiencing poverty, the immigrant, and the vulnerable. That's a reflection of Jesus. That's a reflection of the kingdom I want to be part of. It also reflects every mother, every grandmother, every godmother, every auntie, parent, and caregiver who leads with tenderness, loves without conditions, shows up when things fall apart, and stays when others leave. They are the real shepherds of our lives. So on this day, as we celebrate Christ, the Good Shepherd, we thank all who follow his ways. For moms like mine, who made love real. For spiritual leaders who lead from below, not above. And for a church that dares to believe that mercy is the most powerful force in the world. If we truly believe Christ has risen and that the Spirit is still moving, then we must go where God already is, with the poor, the grieving, the forgotten, and the hungry. That's where the shepherding begins.